I thought I would finally be able to stand tall after raising my children. But life is not so generous to me. She had a successful son, a doctor's daughter-in-law, all the things others envied, but her heart never had a day of peace. Behind the shadow of that splendor was always her sore spot. Her daughter Na-young. Then one day, a small change came over Na-young. She always carried a warm drink in her hand on her way home from work. She seemed somewhat excited. One day, in a corner of the market, she saw her daughter again in the spot where that homeless man had been. Na-young was unwrapping a small bundle in front of the man. It was steaming rice and kimchi stew she had cooked at home. Na-young. At Han Eun-jung's voice, her daughter turned around in surprise. The man hastily bowed his head and retreated. What are you doing now? What did I tell you? Didn't I say not to associate with people like that? Mom, he said he hasn't eaten for days and was sick. So I just brought him a little something from home. Are you out of your mind, girl? Are we philanthropists? We're busy enough taking care of ourselves. Who has time to look after others? Mom, stop it. He's not a bad person. I just felt he was so lonely. Han Eun-jung forcibly pulled her daughter's arm. Tears welled up in her eyes, but Na-young kept looking back. Fearing that the man might harm her daughter, Han Eun-jung deliberately spoke harshly. Don't ever get involved with people like that again. Her stomach churned all the way home. But what angered her more was her daughter's sad gaze, which had diminished in front of the shabbily dressed man. That image of her daughter looking at her mother, as if she had committed a sin, lingered. That night, Na-young quietly entered her mother's room. Mom, are you very angry? I'm sorry. Why do things that make you sorry? Don't. You know your mom is worried? I know. But Mom, he's really not a bad person. I just felt he was so lonely. It was just like our old days. At those words, Han Eun-jung's heart sank. The days after her husband passed away, spending a cold winter with 2 young children, she remembered how much comfort a warm bowl of rice from a neighbor had brought her. Her daughter had seen their past in the man. But she spoke coldly. Still, no. What kind of world is this? Don't trust people so easily. And she sent her daughter out of the room. From that day on, worry and compassion began to battle in Han Eun-jung's heart. She worried about her daughter's safety, yet felt uneasy for having seemingly crushed her warm heart. In the end, she began secretly following her daughter. From the next day, it was an excuse of a mother's concern. But in truth, she wanted to see for herself what kind of person that man was. After observing him for several days, she discovered a surprising fact. The man never begged first. If someone offered him money or food, he would bow deeply in thanks. When Na-young brought him food, he would hesitate for a long time. Then take only what he needed, and share the rest with other homeless people. One day, an elderly woman walking by dropped her shopping bag, and fruits rolled out. Others walked past, pretending not to notice. But he approached without hesitation and gathered the fruits. When she tried to give him money as a thank you, he waved his hands, politely refusing. Watching him from afar, Han Eun-jung was thrown into confusion. His upright demeanor hidden behind his shabby appearance. His concern for others before his own hunger. These were the human virtues she had upheld throughout her life. There was no greed or servility in his eyes. Only deep sorrow and an unbroken kindness. From then on, worry, in Han Eun-jung's heart was slowly turning into compassion. Part 3: Exposure and Marriage Announcement. That day, news spread that the neighborhood department store was having a sale. Sister-in-law Park Young-ya appeared, dressed up handsomely. Sister-in-law, is Yoon-ah not here yet? The department store will close soon. Wait, she said she'd be here right away. Just then, Han Eun-jung spotted Seo Na-young and the man talking at the entrance of the alley. Na-young was even handing over her own winter coat to him. Park Young-ja's eyes gleamed. Oh my, sister-in-law, look at that. My goodness, she's even taking off her clothes for a man? That girl must have completely lost her mind. A cunning glint flashed in her eyes. Good heavens, they say someone like that is sick. And has fallen in love? Look at that disgrace. No wonder she can't get married. What a shame, a complete shame. As if she had been waiting, Park Young-ya pulled out her phone and began filming the scene. And then immediately called somewhere and started blabbing. Hey, did you hear? Sister-in-law's daughter. The one from the fish-selling family. Apparently, she's set up house with a neighborhood vagrant. She's taking off her clothes for a man in broad daylight. It's quite a spectacle. Her voice seemed to echo throughout the entire neighborhood. It was obvious that soon, everyone in the neighborhood would point fingers at her daughter and create dirty rumors. Sure enough, a few days later, when Han Eun-jung went to the market, the atmosphere was strange. Even people who used to greet her whenever they met subtly avoided her, and even regular customers turned away. The rice cake shop owner, who bought fish every day, cautiously approached her and said, "Eun-jung, you really need to keep a tighter leash on your daughter. No matter how urgent it is for her to get married, she shouldn't get involved with someone like that." Tisk tisk. At those words, Han Eun-jung's heart plummeted. It's finally happened, the rumor spread by Park Young-ya had begun to infiltrate her livelihood. She tried to act unconcerned, chopping the fish heads, but an ominous premonition swelled within her heart. It wasn't just a simple rumor. The malicious gossip spread rapidly. Now, the whispers on the market floor wouldn't stop. They say that Fish Lady's daughter is quite a sight. She looks normal but couldn't get married. And now she's having an affair with a vagrant, isn't she? Their gazes were filled with ridicule and contempt. Han Eun-jung cut the fish even louder, accepted money, and pretended to be calm. But when she returned home, she had to comfort herself, sitting alone in her empty room. All of this is because of my daughter's naive heart. It's because of that man. Anger and self-reproach overwhelmed her all at once. That day too, unable to suppress her anger, she returned home. As she opened the front door, an unbelievable sight unfolded before her. Her daughter, Seo Na-young, was meticulously mending the homeless man's old coat, stitch by stitch, as carefully as if it were her own garment. At that moment, something inside Han Eun-jung's head snapped. "What do you think you're doing?" At her shout, Na-young startled and pricked her finger. "Mom, you're home. What is all this? Why is that filthy coat in our house? Are you really planning to live with that man? Do you know what people in the neighborhood are saying about you and me?" "Mom, please. He's not that kind of person." "What do you mean, not that kind of person? Because of a guy like that, I'm being pointed at in the market. And your brother and sister-in-law are being disgraced." "What do you mean, not that kind of person?" Han Eun-jung snatched the mended coat from Na-young's hands and threw it to the floor. Then, her daughter, who had always bowed her head, looked straight at her mother for the first time, her eyes welling up with tears. "Why do you, too, only see him so badly? No one tries to see his heart. Everyone judges him based only on his appearance." "Appearance? Hey, Seo Na-young. Then what do I see? What is this, taking off your coat and even mending it for him?" At those words, a single tear dropped from Na-young's eye. And with a trembling voice, yet firmly, she said, "Mom, you're right. I want to give him everything. Giving him my all wouldn't be a waste. I'm going to marry him." "What did you say?" "I'm going to marry him. Even if the world points fingers, I won't let go of his hand." At that one sentence, it felt as if the world was collapsing. Han Eun-jung's head spun, and her vision blurred. She stumbled, clutching the wall. Her daughter marrying a homeless man from the street. It was an unbelievable nightmare. Han Eun-jung picked up the phone with trembling hands. "I need someone to fix this insane situation. I need an adult to give my mad daughter a piece of their mind." She ultimately made a choice she shouldn't have. She called her sister-in-law Park Young-ja's husband, her own younger brother. But it was Park Young-ya who answered the phone. "Sister-in-law, what's wrong so late at night?" Han Eun-jung explained the situation. "Na-young says she's going to marry a homeless man, instantly." Laughter erupted from the other end of the phone. "What? Marriage? My goodness, sister-in-law, didn't I tell you? She's absolutely mad. Oh dear, what a comedy. You're going to take a vagrant as your son-in-law, sister-in-law, congratulations." In despair, Han Eun-jung called her son, Yoon Jae-hoon. "My son will be on my side. Mom, Why are you calling at this hour? Sun-woo, something terrible has happened. Your sister is saying strange things. As she explained the situation, Yoon-ah's voice sharply interjected from the other end. What? Sister-in-law is marrying that man? Is she in her right mind right now? Her voice was filled with anger rather than worry. Mother, why did you let this go on until now? I knew this would happen. You should have nipped it in the bud somehow. What are you going to do now? What about Jae-hoon's reputation? Yoon Jae-hoon tried to calm his wife, but Yoon-ah raised her voice. This is a matter concerning our family's honor. Mother, stop sister-in-law immediately. If that marriage proceeds, we will cut ties with you, mother. We won't even visit on holidays. Min-ji, that's a bit much, what can't I say? This marriage is absolutely not happening. The call ended abruptly. Han Eun-jung sat down, clutching the phone blankly. Her sister-in-law had scoffed, and her son and daughter-in-law had threatened her. She felt as if she had been left alone in the world. Just then, Seo Na-young quietly said from behind, Mom, do you understand my true feelings now? At that single sentence, her suppressed emotions exploded. How did I raise you? I spent my whole life being sworn at in the market, trying to ensure you wouldn't have to beg from anyone, and you do this to me? Just kill me instead. Harsh words, never spoken in her life, poured out. Na-young, her face pale, heard every word. Her eyes held deep despair instead of resentment. Only then did Han Eun-jung realize. I have just crushed my daughter's last hope. She couldn't take her words back. The worst mistake of her life was just beginning. Part 4: The Revelation of Truth and Reversal. Han Eun-jung couldn't sleep a wink that night. What have I done? I have personally plunged a dagger into the heart of the daughter who was my lifelong pride. She had been able to steadfastly endure all the disdain in the market because she always had her daughter, who would greet her with a smile when she returned home. Yet, she had shattered that last pillar of support herself. Regret swept over her like a storm. What were other people's gazes worth, to make me bruise my own child's heart so deeply? But words once spoken could not be taken back. At dawn the next day, in her room where she had spent a sleepless night, her daughter's phone alarm rang. Seo Na-young looked at the screen, her face turning ashen. Mom, this. An incredible message appeared on the phone screen. 3 billion Korean won has been deposited into the Kangsung Group account. Sender Executive Director Kang Min-soo. In that instant, the scattered pieces of the puzzle fell into place. The man she had only known as a homeless person was, in fact, Bae Do-yeon, the sole heir and executive director of Kangsung Group, a leading conglomerate in South Korea. Bae Do-yeon quietly knelt. Mother, and Na-young, I am truly sorry. I should have told you everything honestly from the start, but there was a promise I had to keep. Even if it meant committing an act of filial impiety by not even being there for my father's final journey. His voice was calm, yet filled with deep sorrow. Han Eun-jung couldn't say a word. He continued, I wanted to hide my identity and learn about the world. I wanted to know how many people still saw a person for their true self, and judged without conditions. There was no deceit in his eyes. Now she understood. It was fate that he had been in the market in such shabby clothes. And her daughter was the only one who had recognized that fate. The next day, a gleaming black luxury sedan was parked in front of their house. And in her daughter's bank account, an unbelievable number appeared, 3 billion Korean won. The television displayed a caption, The Return of Bae Do-yeon, the Crown Prince of Kangsung Group. The son-in-law, who had been a homeless man on the street just yesterday, was now a figure commanding national attention. Han Eun-jung and Seo Na-young stared blankly at each other. Fear outweighed joy. It was too sudden, too immense a change. Before that fear had even subsided, there was a knock at the front door. As the door opened, relatives, drawn by the scent of money, streamed in. The first to rush forward was sister-in-law Park Young-ya. Out of breath, she grabbed Han Eun-jung's hand before she could even compose herself. Sister-in-law, oh sister-in-law, I knew it. I truly have the eyes of a seer. I told you from the start that Executive Director Bae's gaze was extraordinary. Han Eun-jung let out a hollow laugh. Just a while ago, he was a vagrant, and now he's a seer? But Park Young-ya ignored her and continued, "Sister-in-law, I had some misunderstandings. I did it all thinking of you." Behind her, the relatives poured in. These were the same faces that had been scoffing. "Serves you right, just yesterday." As if on cue, they all put on pitiful expressions. "Sister-in-law, I have committed a grave sin. My store is on the brink of collapse. If you could lend me just 10 million won, Auntie, my child needs surgery, but we don't have the hospital fees. Since you received a wedding congratulatory gift for your niece, could you spare a little?" The living room instantly became a pandemonium. There was no longer any mockery or derision in their eyes. Only greed and envy. Seo Na-young turned her face away, seeing their pathetic display. She could no longer call them family. Just then, the front door opened again. This time, two unwelcome people entered. Her son, Yoon Jae-hoon, and daughter-in-law, Yoon-ah. The two bowed their heads as if they were criminals. Yoon-ah tearfully tried to grab Seo Na-young's hand. "Sister-in-law, I am truly sorry. I was too short-sighted. I never knew you could recognize such a remarkable person." Seo Na-young pulled her hand away and shook her head. Yoon Jae-hoon knelt before his mother. "Mom, I was wrong. I believed Min-ji's words and hurt both you and Na-young. Please forgive me." However, Han Eun-jung's gaze was cold. "It wasn't your thoughts that were short-sighted, but your respect for people." She picked up a basin she held and filled it with red salt. And then she quietly said, "This is not salt to ward off evil. This is salt to pickle your rotten insides. You, who brought tears of blood to my daughter's eyes, never cross my threshold again." As soon as she finished speaking, she scattered the salt on the faces of her relatives and her son's couple. Immediately, everyone screamed and staggered backward. Following closely, Bae Do-yeon slowly stepped forward. His voice was low but firm. "My mother-in-law and my wife are uncomfortable. From now on, such matters will be handled officially through our legal team." At the mention of legal team, the relatives' faces turned ashen. He spoke coldly, "Mother, I will take care of these people. You can rest easy now." Han Eun-jung quietly nodded at his words. And then she looked at the relatives once more and said, "The play is over." After that, everything changed. Bae Do-yeon moved Han Eun-jung and Seo Na-young from their old villa to a house with a garden. She no longer had to go to the market at dawn. Instead of the fishy smell, the scent of flowers and earth permeated her fingertips. For the first time in her life, she could enjoy the afternoon sun doing nothing. A smile blossomed on Seo Na-young's face every day. A woman who is loved truly radiates like that. Han Eun-jung was happy every day watching her daughter. News of her son, Yoon Jae-hoon, and his wife didn't take long to surface. When Bae Do-yeon's true identity was revealed, Yoon-ah's family of origin created a huge fuss, declaring, "We will cut ties with such an unscrupulous family." Eventually, the two divorced. Yoon Jae-hoon also lost his position at the company and was ultimately demoted. He came knocking on her door many times, but Han Eun-jung never opened it. That was the last act of motherhood she could offer for her daughter. One spring day, as Han Eun-jung was watering the flowers in the garden, Bae Do-yeon approached her and said, "Mother, you can have someone do this kind of work now." "No, I prefer tending to them myself. You wouldn't know how joyful it is for my hands to be this useful." She smiled brightly. Then Seo Na-young came over and shyly said, "Mom, I'm going to give you your first grandchild." Inside a box was a pair of baby shoes. Han Eun-jung couldn't say anything and hugged her daughter tightly. Hot tears streamed down her face. "My lifelong regret is finally dissolving like this." Every day, she sat on the living room sofa, hand-sewing a baby gown for her grandchild. Her hands, which once flicked fish scales, were now embroidering flower patterns. Looking back, I spent my entire life selling fish, but in truth, I was learning about people. Just as there are fish that look appealing on the outside, but are empty inside, and fish that look rough but have firm flesh and deep flavor, she now knew that people were the same. Family is not forged by blood, but by eyes that recognize the heart. Her son-in-law who recognized that sincerity, and her daughter who trusted him. With that, her life was fully recompensed. Han Eun-jung gazed at the spring sunlight outside the window and smiled. Instead of the pungent smell of fish, her home was now filled with the fragrant scent of flowers and the warmth of her grandchild. Her daughter's shattered heart had been mended, and upon it blossomed a happiness more radiant than any jewel in the world. Now, there was only one thing left for her to do. To quietly watch over that happiness and bless it without reservation. That was enough.